Live with CDP Sports Talk, a weekly sports and entertainment podcast sponsored by Barry Cullen Chevrolet. Live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and LinkedIn. And on audio via Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, Anchor FM, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Radio Public, and TuneIn. Now, here's your host, Chris Palme.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Season 12, Episode 52, overall 657 of Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show, brought to you by our friends at Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership, located at 905 Woodlawn Road West in the Guelph Automall. Check out their website, barrycullen.com, for the newest selection of new and pre-owned GM vehicles, along with their great selection of all-electric vehicles and Cadillac vehicles as well. You can call the dealership at 519-824-0210 and tell them Chris Palme, a.k.a. CDP, sent you, or you can email them at info@barrycullen.com. Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership has been family run and operated here in the city of Guelph since 1969. And speaking of Barry Cullen Chevrolet right now, even though we're now into February, we still have a lot of snow on the ground. We have cold temps here, -10, -15 tonight. So if you're looking for winter tires, check out Barry Cullen Chevrolet Service Department. Greg, Lisa, and Sarah can service your needs and get you good winter tires for the right price at Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership. And also, the cold weather, cold temps can be hard on your car battery. Right now at Barry Cullen Chevrolet, they are doing a free 12-volt battery test. And if you happen to need a new battery, they will give you a $20 instant rebate as well. From mechanics who I've talked to in the past, they say the average life of a 12-volt battery for a car is between 3 and 5 years. So if your batteries are between 3 and 5 years, you probably should get it tested and checked out as well. So check out Barry Cullen Chevrolet Service Department. Again, Greg, Sarah, and Lisa, they can help you with winter tires or to get your battery tested and make sure you're safe and going on the roads as well. I hope everyone is doing well on this Wednesday, February 4th, 2026. And I'm looking forward to my guest tonight. This is her first appearance on our show, and her name is Kisha Reynolds. She's a certified clinical hypnotherapist. She's also a certified hair loss specialist and a career coach out of Philadelphia. And we're going to bring on Kisha Reynolds just now.
Hi.
Hello, how are you?
I'm fine. Thank you for having me, Chris.
You're welcome. And how are things in the city of brotherly love right these days?
Cold and more cold. You're very cold.
Do you have a lot of snow on the ground down in Philly or not really?
Well, we did get, that same kind of nasty storm that kind of clipped just about, everybody, I guess, depending upon where you were, depending upon if you got like rain or slow. Yeah, we got pretty a lot of snow. I mean, like, you're in Canada, so compared to the amount of snow that you got there, it's probably not looking like a whole lot, but it was at least, I think, like something like 9 inches or between 9 and 12 or something like that. So yeah, and it's still on the ground, but but it's like it refreezes. Like, it hasn't, like, this has been like the longest consecutive time of like, below, like, freezing and below freezing temperatures. I remember hearing the meteorologist say that just a couple days ago on the news. So I mean, we haven't like really like gone above, like, I don't know, maybe like 32 or something in a while. I don't know, but I'm hoping it goes up soon. I know that. I'm ready for spring. Probably got 6 more weeks to wait for it, but I am ready when it gets here.
We had snow in December and then it got really mild here and we lost all the snow. So we would probably have about 3.5 feet of snow or more if we didn't lose it all in December. But we do have our 4 seasons here, but this year has been like the 1970s and 80s type winter here. So this is the first really bad winter we've had here in a while. And the roads have kind of been tricky here because we've had a salt shortage as well. So yeah, hopefully 6 more weeks. To be honest, I'm going to ask you this too, Keisha. What do you prefer? What are your favorite seasons of the year? Obviously, probably summer.
I no spring, spring, and I would say fall. So I'm not a huge fan of extreme cold or extreme heat. The only way I like extreme heat is if I'm not far from a pool or beach. Then I can kind of co-sign and go along. But outside of that, it's either spring or fall. That in between.
I'm going to go with fall and winter. Fall because of football. I'm a Philadelphia Eagles fan, and
Oh, okay.
I'm yeah, huge football fan. So the fall and winter because my allergies really act
Mm,
up in the summertime. I have hay fever to
okay.
grass, freshly cut grass, and pollen from the trees. So for me, fall and winter are my favorite months.
Ah, gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. I know a few people that have some allergies. I heard they can be pretty brutal.
We have someone watching on YouTube. Her I can't pronounce her name on here, but she says, "Love Keisha. Thank you for featuring the best hypnotherapist ever."
Oh, that's so
From
sweet. I wish I knew it was. That's so sweet.
from Ask Riddle.
Oh, Astrid. Oh my God.
Astrid.
That's one of my clients, Astrid. I love her. Hi, Astrid.
Astrid, thank you so much for watching, and I'm sorry I butchered your name wrong. This technology is amazing.
She's gonna be my like Ital my tutor. Astrid is also she also teaches, Italian and as well. So, you know, I because it's been a lifelong dream of mine to be able to learn another language, okay? And I've always been in love with kind of like the romance languages, like your French, Italian, Spanish, and all that. So I asked Astrid if she would teach me Italian, and she has agreed to. So I am anxiously awaiting our first lesson.
Speaking of Italian, Italy is one of my bucket list places. That's one of the places I want to go.
Don't even get me started. Go, go, go. I had an amazing time. My first time I went there, some friends and I, we visited that whole like Florence, Tuscany region. And then I had been like in love with the Amalfi Coast. And so I got a chance to kind of, visit there in Naples. So please go, in Sicily. So please go, 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 go. It's beautiful, especially like that whole Amalfi like region is absolutely gorgeous.
What was your favorite attraction there?
The beach, because I like the beach. Well, I'll say in terms with Amalfi, it was just the landscape. I mean, it literally looks like the postcards, like how you see the postcards, and it's like, up in the mountains, the houses are kind of like up there, like in the cliffs, and like the water's right below, and it's absolutely gorgeous, 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 gorgeous. So it's just the scenery. It's the scenery. And of course, don't even get me, start about the food. I'm a huge foodie. So,
Same here.
oh my goodness. So, you know what? I'm gonna have to come on like your podcast for like a whole thing on just like food, 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 because I'm such a huge foodie. I love it.
Same here. And I actually did some media work today for a local Greek restaurant here. So I interviewed the owner and she makes everything from scratch. So I did an interview with her and I filmed some of her making desserts today too. So they're all on my social media pages.
Oh my, that sounds so decadent, Chris. Love it. Love it.
And another comment, thank you both for living on Italy. Hope you get a chance to go soon, Chris. I've never even been on an airplane yet, so I'm 53 years old, so I should go on an airplane once. I wanted to ask you this too. How
Yeah.
long of a flight is it from Philly to Italy, approximately?
When I went, and it was a while ago, and I'm trying to remember because I don't know if I flew straight there or if I actually did like a layover somewhere. Now I know to Spain, I think Barcelona, I think it was something like 10 hours. I want to say it was something like that 9 hour, 9, 10 hour, time from like straight, if I'm not mistaken, because I'm trying to remember. And I can't remember if I flew straight there because the first time when I went to Naples, I didn't fly straight to Naples. I like flew into like Istanbul. I was in Turkey overnight and then went from there into Naples. So I haven't done it straight. And we went to Florence. We were actually in Paris and then did a short flight from Paris over to Florence. So I've never actually done it like directly straight there, but I want to say I'm sure it's probably like that 9 hour. I think it's like 6 hours to London, 6, 7 maybe. So I'm thinking it's like about a good nine, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, but I'm thinking like a good nine, maybe 10.
What's the time difference from Italy to the East Coast time?
I think it might be, let's see, I know it is 6 hours, I think, for London, at 5 or 6 hours. I think it's 6 hours for London. I want to say it might be like around maybe like 7 or 8. No, I could be wrong
Okay.
though. I could be
Okay.
wrong, but and I'm just trying to gauge, just trying to remember. I don't know. I kind of base everything off of like the UK and then kind of figure it out, like from there.
Now, when you go to Italy, you obviously think of pasta and the food. Now, wine. Are you a wine drinker? And no,
Oh, the
no,
stories, Chris. I am the stories.
red
The
or white wine.
stories. I like both. You know what? I'm a huge red wine person, especially like around now. But you know what? I also started because about I would say the past few years, I've really gotten into kind of like lower sugar wines, okay? And drinking more wines like that are from like different areas because they have like more of a natural. They don't, the way that the process in which they make it, they're not adding any additional preservatives or any other sugars. It's just like the natural grape, and then how they kind of process it, but it's not adding any extra sugar. So a lot of the wines I drink now are zero sugar or low sugar or low carb. So but white wine, I've gotten into white wines. I used to be kind of like a diehard red girl. Okay. But I now I enjoy Cabernets. I enjoy Sauvignon Blanc. I enjoy Pinot Grigios. So I do enjoy. I used to love Rieslings, but I had to back up off of because, Rieslings, some of them can be on the sweet side, and I'm really, I kind of shy away from extra sugar. You know what I mean?
By the way, your friend said Italy is 6 hours ahead of us. Now,
Okay.
I'm in Ontario near Toronto, but I'm not far from Niagara Falls. The Niagara Falls area has over 140 different wineries here. And in the wintertime, they have ice wine. Did they have ice wine down in Italy? And ice wine is kind of like a really sweet wine drink that's done in the wintertime. It's even more expensive than the traditional wine.
I've never had ice wine, but
One.
now I need to come back. Like I visited Toronto, but it was some years ago. But now I feel the need to come back. I need to
Niagara Falls,
visit Canada.
Niagara Falls is about an hour and a half, 2 hours to Toronto, depending on traffic. Our traffic is bad here, by the way.
Oh, okay, okay,
It's bad.
okay. You know what? I will see. I don't really know. I don't remember because last time I was there at the time, which is why I want to return back. I was there at the time for that Caravana, the Caribbean
Yes.
festival.
Yeah, in
Yeah. So the
August in Toronto.
Yeah. So it was like in
Yeah,
August, it was like super hot and
hot.
everything.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I'd come for that, but I always wanted to kind of make a do-over trip with that, and
yeah.
kind of come back and see it outside of that, because I also heard that you guys have really good theater, and I'm a
Yes.
huge like theater buff. Like I love
Strat
all things Broadway, everything.
Stratford, Niagara on the Lake is great. They have the Shaw Festival at Niagara-on-the-Lake, and Stratford, which is the home of Justin Bieber. Stratford has theater, a great theater, Shakespearean, all that too. So you'd probably want to go to Stratford, Ontario, and to Niagara-on-the-Lake for theater.
How about I'm just going to make it a whole 2 weeks, Chris, and we're going to do wine and we're going to
Yeah,
just do a theater, just theater and
yeah,
wine. That's what it's going to
yeah.
be, just theater and wine.
Tiffany Walker is watching us on YouTube. She says ice wine very sweet, and she has another comment too. She wants to say hi. I'm Tiffany in DC. I'm a friend of Keisha's, enjoying the international travel talk and the foodie.
Yes, Tiffany is one of my dearest and closest friends. I live in Philadelphia now, but it wasn't that long ago, a few years back, that I actually used to live in the Washington, Maryland, Virginia, Washington, D.C. area. And prior to coming into being a hypnotherapist, not that long ago in another life, I was a recruiter. And I met Tiffany on a project that I was working on, and we worked together and we instantly became friends. Her and there's another girlfriend of ours named Thais, and Tiffany and I instantly clicked and became friends. And I think this was probably like sometime like back in like the latter part of like 2005, and we've been friends ever since. Actually, her son actually is here at Temple. So we've been friends ever since. Really, really good friend of mine. Good peoples, good peoples.
This technology is great. It really does shrink the world down, doesn't it?
I know, doesn't it? Love it.
Now, Keisha, since I'm based out of Toronto, can you tell our audience a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Okay. So I'm out of Philadelphia. Okay. And I am a certified clinical hypnotherapist and a career coach. Right. And pretty much just to give you a little bit about, hypnosis, and we're going to kind of go into it a little bit more later about what it is. But what I do, is I do something where I actually, well, I'll explain what hypnosis is. It's really a targeted, like narrowed state of focus, okay, which allows people like myself to kind of bypass the critical mind, and I'll explain what that is later, to be able to then change, negative or toxic ways of thinking, kind of quieting and taming that critical inner voice, and therefore changing negative ways into thinking into positive ones. So that's essentially what I do and what hypnotherapy is.
I wanted to ask you this too, Keisha. How difficult is it to rewire somebody's mindset?
Actually, it depends on what you're working on. Okay. So, but it's not difficult. It's not difficult. So basically, and I think everyone has kind of seen it where, you see the hypnotherapist in the movie and they're kind of counting down. They're kind of like that 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and they're deep sleep, they're kind of doing something like that. So that's very real, but it's not a real sleep. Okay, you're in a relaxed alternate state, but it's not real sleep. So when you're in that state, I'm actually speaking directly to your subconscious, not your waking state. So when you are in that state, it is very easy at that part because what I mentioned before about the critical mind. Okay, so the critical mind is basically a filter that is right up above your subconscious. So, to tell you a little bit about that, your subconscious makes up about 88% of your mind, most of it. The waking state where we are now, Chris, this is your conscious state or your waking state. So, in this state, you're able to do reasoning, decisions, analyzing logic. Okay, so that's where we are, but this is only 12%. Okay, majority is your subconscious. Now, right in between that is the critical mind, which acts as a filter. So, what it does is it protects everything that is in the subconscious, but it makes it challenging to be able to change because what ends up happening is it protects not only good things in your subconscious, but also negative things in the subconscious as well, because it cannot discern between what is right and what is wrong. The whole job is just to protect it. So, for example, what is something positive that you know about yourself, Chris, that you would like to share? And I'll give you an example of it. What is something that's positive that you know about yourself?
I love connecting with people. I'm a people person. I really love doing media work. I like doing public speaking. I've really transformed myself in the last 6 years into this new career.
Okay, so you know that you are a people person and you love media. You love doing this type work. So if someone came up to you and they said the opposite to you and they said, "Hey, Chris, that's not what you're good at." That's not even something you would accept. It would never even make it into your subconscious. It would automatically be kicked out. You wouldn't even think about it. So that automatic kick out, that's your critical mind working. It's not even going to let it go into your subconscious because the whole point of it is to protect what is inside the subconscious. But just like it does that, and that's a positive thing, it also protects negative things too. So when we have that, that critical self-talk of feeling like we're not enough, okay, and that we've never been enough and we're never going to be enough, when someone says opposite of that, it does the same thing. Okay. So the person, because that's what they've grown up thinking about themselves, okay, which is in what we call in hypnotherapy or hypnosis, hypnotherapists, we call that your known association. A traditional therapist will call that a distortion, okay, of way of thinking. Okay. So what happens is that critical mind then protects that because, again, it cannot discern between what's good and what's bad, therefore making it difficult for that to be changed. That's why when people tell you something opposite that you really believe in your heart, you hear it, but you go right back to what you've always been doing because you're falling back on old pattern. It's an old pattern. Okay, that's repeating. You're repeating that old pattern. That new pattern can't break through because you're holding on to that old pattern. So, what I do is I bypass the critical mind altogether. When you're in hypnosis, that critical mind is offline. So I don't even deal with it. So it makes my job easier because I speak directly to the subconscious. So when you hear the snap and it's deep sleep, that snap and that deep sleep is really just, it's speaking to the subconscious mind. Okay. So that also dispels a myth that people sometimes feel is that no, you will not go unconscious in hypnosis. It's absolutely impossible because you are not completely asleep to begin with.
I know for many years when people said negative things to me or told me I couldn't do something, I would play small, but I no longer do that.
That's excellent. That is excellent. That is excellent. And that's one of the things that I work on a lot is rewiring, okay, confidence, okay, setting and maintaining healthy boundaries, not shrinking yourself to fit someone else's narrative of who they want you to be.
Absolutely. I did that for many years and now I've changed it. And it's basically you have to believe in yourself, the mindset too. Because
Mm-hmm.
in the media industry, TV, radio, you're gonna get your successes, but you're also gonna get your setbacks. And
Yeah.
I when someone tells me no, I don't take it personally. And to me, no is not a failure, it's a temporary setback.
Chris, it's funny that you said that. For many years, I was criticized and bullied as a child, about the way that I speak. And I don't, obviously, you're not within the African American community, so you don't understand that. But I was bullied and told that you speak like a white girl. I was told called, Oreo, all those things. But you know what? To a testament to what you said, it's interesting because the very thing that I was bullied by is now my superpower and what I use to be able to help others. So it's interesting how that works.
Do you find bullying and belittling has increased over the years with the internet and social media platforms?
Oh, absolutely. I think that, now they don't have to see back in the day, you didn't have this. So, you actually kind of had to have some courage to kind of get in someone's face, or you would talk behind them and it would kind of travel through the grapevine of whispers. That's what I call it, the gossip lane. But now trolls and people can, do it directly on social media. Okay, and you don't even have to see them now. They just are all over in the comments. So I do believe that it is it's far it's definitely has gotten worse. But I will say this, I think, and I may be dating myself, but I'm a Gen Xer. Okay. So it's kind of like, I don't care what you say in the comments about me. I just don't. I don't know. I mean, I guess from a different, school of thought. I guess, I'm kind of like where that stuff kind of happened, like close up or down the whisper lane, and it's kind of like if I'm seeing comments, I'm just gonna turn it off, and be done with it. And then I've also just kind of developed, I guess, probably a tough skin, just, kind of growing up, because I grew up as an only child, so there was a lot that I had to go through in terms of just learning to be able to protect myself.
What are some stereotypes and myths of hypnotherapy?
Well, hypnotherapy, I would say probably, okay, well, it's mind control. It's not mind control. Okay. We are rewiring patterns, but it is not mind control. Okay. Another one would be that, okay, this is a big one. Okay. If you have never had training to be a physician or an attorney or any other field of expertise out there, coming to me, I cannot make you that. Like, I cannot, I wish I could, but I cannot. Okay. I can only work with what I have. If I have to work with it where there's a foundation. So I cannot create something from nothing. Okay. Now, if you want to study and you want to be able to take in more information, that I can help with. But that is a misconception of thinking that I can kind of like one can just kind of snap a finger and just turn you into this whole other person. Okay. That's not really how it works. This is a gradual process. So I would say that. Also, getting it mixed up between what I do and I think probably a stage hypnotist. When people think of hypnotherapy, for the most part, I think people still think of folks getting on stage, kind of, I don't know, barking like dogs and jumping on one leg and all that that you see, but people have to understand that's entertainment. And while it's very true, there's a difference between a stage hypnotist, because you're going to go see a show, so that's that person's job, that's what they're doing. This is very different. This is used in terms of a clinical therapeutic sense. So that's something else that I just kind of want to dispel. And again, like I said, you are not going to go unconscious.
How important is it to be certified as a clinical hypnotherapist? How important is that certification?
It's very, very important, because you are trained, or I will say I went to HMI, Hypnosis Motivational Institute, it's a college hypnotherapy out of Tarzana, California. And I was trained very well. The second year that went through that, we were trained, in all of the different personalities. Okay. And the reason why we were trained into the personality disorders, I should say, is because we needed to know what is within our scope and what is with and out of our scope. So there's certain things that I work with, but there are certain things, Chris, that I am not able to work with and would not work with unless I was working in conjunction with a licensed clinical therapist or a licensed clinical social worker or psychotherapist. For one would be schizophrenia. Okay. And the reason why is because when I am putting someone into hypnosis and I'm having to imagine things, you are in a bit of a alternated state as it is. Okay. Somewhat dreamlike. Okay. So that could possibly be triggering for someone who has schizophrenia. All right, which is why that's not a scope that I'm able to work with, and why when I'm doing intake calls and things of that sort before working with clients, I have to take that into consideration, because that's not, as much as I would like to, I'm not able to. Okay, that person really does need to be under the hands of somebody who is specialized in working with schizophrenia, a licensed clinical therapist or a psychotherapist, or a psychiatrist who is able to prescribe medications that that person will need, because I'm not able to prescribe medication. Another one is bipolar. I can work with it, but the person would have to be on their baseline, they would have to be on their medication. I would not do it if I felt like there was a lot of pressured speech and somebody was at that point, they were manic at that point. Okay. I would not do it because again, that could hurt someone, having trying to put them under, that could make things worse or exacerbate things. So without those types of things, I prefer to work with someone who is in conjunction a licensed clinical therapist. Someone also who deals with suicidal ideation. That's another one as well. Okay. Someone I can, but after and along with them seeing someone who is a licensed mental health professional.
And that's one of the biggest difference between hypnotic
Yep.
hypnotherapists and
Yes.
shrinks is the shrinks end up giving medication and stuff.
Right, because they're medical doctors. So a psychiatrist, yes, they are able to prescribe medicine. Yes, I am not a medical doctor. And to that said, I want to kind of put a disclaimer out now that things that we are going to be talking about, okay, um, this does not mean that you don't go see your physician if you need to. Okay. I'm giving you, my expert opinion from a certified clinical hypnotherapist and things that I work with. But there are certain things, as we were talking about, about sleep and so forth. There are certain things, okay, like sleep apnea, snoring, okay, restless leg, all of that. You need to go and see a sleep specialist. You need to go see a physician, okay, with that, okay, not just depend on this, okay. This is for once you've already seen someone, perhaps they've given you something to do. I can help with anxiety. I can help you with that, okay. If you're having nightmares, I can help you to rewire your brain when it comes to that. I can help you if you are constantly awake of making helping you to understand that it is safe to sleep. Okay, it's comfortable to sleep. Okay, bringing it down. So knowing, letting your brain know to shut down. But again, this is not something that I'm going to ever tell, your audience or anyone that you would do in place of a physician. Go to a sleep specialist if that is something that you need to do, or any specialist for that matter, because if it's a medical issue.
Where did you attend school, Keisha? And who were some of your early influences and mentors in your career?
Oh, managers. Well,
Okay.
when we talk about managers, actually, I'll be quite honest with you. I don't remember any managers that I actually, oh, no, I do. I do. Many, many moons ago, I was I was the HR manager, and I'll never forget him. His name was Jeff Ginsburg. And unfortunately, Jeff Ginsburg passed away many, many years ago. But he was a very nice person. I remember I'd never done anything when it came to like doing court cases and things of that sort of having to prove a case. Okay. I believe it was like a discrimination case that we were working on, okay, at that time. And we're kind of going back like 2000 and I don't know, like three, something like that, because I haven't always lived in Philadelphia. I also lived in the uh, Northern Virginia area as well. And while I was there, he was my manager, and I remember he taught me. That was the first case that I work with like that. And he helped me to do that. He helped me to navigate through that. So I would say he's definitely one who, stuck out to me. And I will tell you that after that, I can't tell you that there are any other, managers. I can tell you that there are, just say people that I have kind of maybe somewhat like maybe kind of looked up to and admired, for one reason or the next, but not necessarily in terms of managers. I would say probably two, because um, just like 321 Deep Sleep is my practice. I have mostly had my own business for a majority of the time. So, many times I work more or less kind of like as an independent recruiting consultant. Okay. So I've always have been kind of very entrepreneurial. So I don't necessarily have, I would say an actual manager, but there are people that I have worked with that I liked. One of them I really liked was Elena Davis. And actually, I did a project many, many years ago, which is actually where I met Tiffany, who actually kind of, I chatted with a little bit on here, and she was our manager. This is when at the time I was in the DC area. And I remembered her. She was always very fair. And the time she was VP of HR at that time, and was someone who I would say was very compassionate and really cared about her employees, and was very, very smart, just, smart as a whip. So I will say she was definitely somebody, that I actually really, really looked up to, you know.
How would you describe yourself as an entrepreneur, and how much have you evolved, improved as a hypnotherapist over the years?
Well, I would say in terms of entrepreneur piece of it, I've always been that. I've always had that mindset, even as a child. I've always wanted to have kind of like my own thing. And I will say, evolving as it is now, I would say even more so. Now, in terms of hypnotherapy, that really came because I wanted to be able to find ways of being able to help with myself with different struggles that I've been experiencing. So for about 36 years, I had been dealing with body focused repetitive behaviors. Okay. So for those that don't know, they're very similar to, it's very, it is a OCD related disorder. Okay. So body repetitive disorder, or BFRBs for short. Some of them are like, which you may have, I don't know, you may have heard of. Sometimes you'll have people that you may see them chewing like on their tongue. Okay, or they
Yeah,
may chew the inside constantly of
yeah.
their cheek. Okay, or you may see them constantly like with the lip. Okay, or maybe constantly, like maybe like if there's a scab, constantly like picking or bothering it all the time. Okay, almost like obsessively. Okay, so those are body focused repetitive behaviors. Okay, there's one of the more main ones is most people know, if they know anything about, is trichotillomania, which is the hair pulling. Okay, so basically, when it comes to OCD, usually with OCD, the compulsion that they're experiencing is because of something that they want to prevent. They don't want to be sick. So you'll see someone with OCD constantly washing their hands, because the whole premise behind that is, I don't want germs. I don't want to be sick. Okay. Body focused repetitive behaviors, or BFRBs, are quite different because they're sensory related. So it's not really based on that. So anything can trigger it. So it could even be like boredom. It could be stress. Mine, came on when I was very, very young, in the form of very pervasive nail biting, like to the point that I'd bite my nails like down to my like cuticles, to the nubs, if you will. And at the time when they had it, okay, the term body focused repetitive behavior had not even been coined yet. It didn't start until the mid 90s. Okay, so after doing this for so long, because when you do this and when this happens to you, body focused repetitive behaviors are typically lifelong behaviors. Okay, so but you go in and out of remission. So that's what you call it, like if you stop. Okay, you may have periods of time when you stop, and then for one reason or the other, you may be triggered. It could be boredom. It could just be since a season that you're in, that you feel more stressed than the other. That's definitely something that is triggering. So I got into hypnotherapy as a way to be able to help that. Okay. And learning. So the minute I realized that I could rewire my mind, I said, I think I think we might have a winner here. This is something that I think I want to learn. So that's how I got into it, was to be able to help myself be able to rewire my brain so that I would stop doing this. Now, it doesn't completely stop it, but it definitely significantly reduces the urges of the compulsions. Okay. So that's how I got into it. And then in getting into it, I saw then how I could help other people. So, using it in terms of hypnotherapy and how where I am now with it, it, it's interesting. I started out with this as a way to be able to help myself, and now I'm using it to help people, to help other people. Okay. And also coming full circle with the body focused repetitive behavior. Shout out to Bianca Leiter, who is founder of the Leiter Foundation, which is a foundation for people of color who experience this. So that's another one, in terms of I am now doing or will be hosting support groups, with that. But all of this came about from hypnotherapy. Okay. From hypnotherapy, I've now been able to do some public speaking engagements. I've been able to appear on podcasts. Okay. So everything is now coming like full circle. So all of this, even learning about sleep. Okay. Again, I was one, and anybody who knows me, I have suffered with sleep, like insomnia for 25 years longer, like off and on. Okay. So I came to this learning how to use self hypnosis on myself. Okay. Along with also knowing that, for me, if I work out 3 to 4 days out the week, that will help me to shut my brain off and I will go to sleep. Now, I don't always do the workout. I'm going to be honest with you, Chris, but I will say that the self
I'm in that.
hypnosis has helped me.
So do you find it helps with weight loss? And wanted to ask you this, besides weight loss, do you work with clients that have OCD and PTSD as well?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I do because I absolutely do. Especially OCD, because again, a lot with OCD, it's rumination. It's that thought. The mind keeps going. It's ruminating, it doesn't shut off. So you think, and it's exhausting. Okay, and to think of it is like the body is exhausted, but that mind is still awake. Okay, so the amygdala in the brain, that's kind of like the brain's alarm system. Okay, so what happens is when you are dealing with sleep, like lack of sleep, your body's tired, but it fires up that amygdala to the point where now everything you are heightened, you're wired. Okay, so I help with being able to calm that down with hypnotherapy. Okay, allowing you to go to sleep. Okay, and then with OCD, giving you other things, healthier things to do with your hands. Okay, letting you know that you are safe. You are not going to die of a disease because you happen, I don't know, to touch a doorknob. That you're more than likely. I'm not a doctor. I don't know. I'm not a profession in terms of like um diseases. Okay, but I don't think you probably are. So it's just letting you know that you're safe. Okay, and that is done by rewiring the mind with hypnotherapy.
What are some causes? I'm going to reword this. Why do you think sleep is shrinking these days?
Okay, so I don't want to completely blame it on social media, but I'm going to say social media. I mean, it could be a number of different things. But I will tell you, because social media, it never shuts off. Back in the day, okay, I can remember when, the TV would be on at a certain time by midnight, and they would play, a song, and then you would see the static, the snow, and just be like, doo, and it wouldn't come on again, and the TV wouldn't come on again until like 5 in the morning with the news. Okay, see, that's long gone. Everything is instant. It's 24 hours gratification, constant. Even with the television, okay, that's on. That is very disruptive. And don't get me started with a good Netflix series. Oh my God. Just, and because oh my goodness. I can't even tell you how many times the first, Bridgerton came out or whatever, or the seasons of some of the first shows that I wanted to watch. I was glued. I was hooked. My mind was wired. I couldn't turn it off. It was like a drug. Okay. And oh my God, I'm really excited. Let me calm down. Let me calm down, Chris. I'm just saying though, but I'm just saying that yeah, it is social media and TV, and especially social media. It's so easy to just pick up your phone and
Well,
just scroll, 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 and watch reel after kitty the kitten. Oh the God, the kitten reels get me. Like I have to say, the kitten and the animal ones, they get me all the time. If I see one, I'm right there. I'm right there. I won't put it down. And on top of that, I'm sending it to other people. Like I'm not saying I'm not even not guilty of it. Like I'm guilty. Like I'm guilty, Chris. I'm guilty. I'm one of the ones that's sending people stuff at and I have family members that can attest to this and friends. I don't know, like they'll wake up and I will have by 4:30 in the morning, I've sent them 2 or 3 videos because I'm
I
scrolling.
I can relate, and you can lose track of time. And the thing is, when you do get off the phone or shut your TV off, your brain is all worked up, and it's going to take you another hour or two to relax. And
Exactly.
I've been told to put the cell phone or the smartphone away an hour before bed, and I'm guilty
Hmm.
of this too. I have a TV in my room, so sometimes I fall asleep with the TV set on.
Oh, yes, me too. Me too. Like I said, do not let it be a series on. I am glued and I will go to sleep and wake up with the series on. And then we'll go back and replay the episodes that I missed when I fell asleep. I'll do that.
Now, growing up, doctors always said you need to get at least 8 hours sleep. Do you find that still true, or do you think everybody's body is different?
I think it's true in some cases. However, I do believe as you get older, I do believe that you don't always need a full 8 hours. Okay. I mean, there's functioning, some people can function on 5 hours of sleep and that's fine for them. Okay. And then you have those of us that may need, okay, your full eight. And some people maybe even, well, I don't know about 10. Ten's a lot, but I'm just saying they may need that full, 8 hours. I think that I think it depends on the person, but I still think it's unhealthy for folks to walk around only getting 2 and 3 and even 4 hours of sleep. I think that's unhealthy. By the time I'm more able to be okay with that by like, okay, even if you tell me that you get six, I'm okay with six. I feel comfortable with six. But if you're telling me, you're getting 2 hours a night, that's not good. That's not good.
And they say sleep can affect your mental health, your physical health,
Oh,
and
yes.
also your weight too. Because I find I tend to eat more when I'm tired than when I'm fully active.
Yes. The cortisol, okay? You releases the cortisol, okay? So, yeah, so you're see when you go to sleep, that's your way of your body's resetting things, even your blood pressure. Okay. If
Yeah.
you don't get proper sleep, it doesn't even matter how much you medicate, like your blood pressure is not even going to be steady and calm, like it's at its base, your base level. It's not going to be where it's supposed to be if you don't get proper sleep.
Now, I know we talked about this off camera. I've been doing this for 35, 40 years. I sleep with a fan on at night. I just find the noise of the fan helps me relax into
Mm-hmm.
sleep. And
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to get your thoughts on ASMR, which is very popular on TikTok. And some people find certain noises kind of relaxes them and goes to sleeps. And maybe you have some good tips for people who are watching or listening to this show that are currently struggling with sleep, maybe?
Well, yes. So you're absolutely right. ASMR is excellent. Okay. One of the things that I do, and I don't know, some people may find it to be gross. I don't know. I'm just going to say it. So I send to watch the videos. I don't know why, but I watch the videos like, I'm a Dr. Pimple Popper watcher. Okay. So there's this, I don't know if you watch, there in Canada, but her name is Dr. Pimple Popper. And so, she shows how she goes in and she will remove different cysts, okay, and things of that sort that may have like a whitehead or something. So I will, look on YouTube and I see where there are different like skin, shows, and people are kind of like, pushing and the white portion of the pimple out. And I don't know why it relaxes me, but it does. And it does make me go to sleep. So, I don't know why, but it does. So I guess I kind of correlate that to the ASMR, like how, but that's like with the noise, I watch that and I immediately like I'm zonked out. I would say probably some good things to do in terms of its sleep. Again, one of the things that you said, kind of cut the TV watching, and the social media, put your devices away. Now, as much as I'm saying it, I also sometimes still struggle with it as well. So I'm included in the bunch that need to do the same thing that I'm advising people to do. Okay. But yeah, removing the electronics, putting them down about a good hour before. Healthy exercise, okay? Exercising if you can. I'm not saying you have to be a gym rat, but getting in some healthy, some physical fitness in there, it does, have a way of being able to tire out the body, make them shut the mind off, so that then you go to bed later, okay? I've heard remedies of drinking warm milk. I honestly have never heard it. I've heard of it, but I honestly have never tried it. Okay. I'm not a big, huge milk drinker per se. So it's not something I've ever tried, but I'm also not going to say that it doesn't work either. Okay. I would say probably just really kind of eating at a decent hour. Don't eat late, okay?
I'm
It helps to
guilty of
keep
it.
you up. Yeah. And here's another thing. Some of the substance, okay, if somebody is a cannabis user, you like weed or whatever, or you like the gummies and all that, and you like your wines and your cocktails and all that. Listen, listen, hey, I completely, I think all that's fine. But I will tell you that sleep, even though it feels like you're kind of like conked out, like zonked out or whatever, it's still interrupting your sleep, whether you know it or not. So, kind of, laying off that, okay, that would be something that would be a good idea. And like I said, especially just eating at a normal hour. And also,
Oh, right. I think we lost you there, Kisha. Kisha. Yeah, I lost your audio. Okay, everybody, just an issue with Kisha's audio. Just 1 second. I can't hear her. Just bear with us. Bear with us, and we're gonna try to get just an audio issue with her guest right now, Kisha. So hopefully we can get her back on. Yeah, just yeah, unfortunately, I can't hear you. So, guys, Kisha was just giving us some. She's a hypnotherapist in Philadelphia, and she was just giving us some tips on getting some good night sleep. And unfortunately, we've lost her audio. So, I don't know if we can get her back on here. Can you hear me now, Kisha? I do apologize. So, we'll just see if we can get her on. Again, she's a certified clinical hypnotherapist, and she started up her own company called 321 Deep Sleep as well. And she's also a career coach. So, unfortunately, we cannot hear her right now. We'll see if we can get her back on. I'm just going to send her a private message, and hopefully we can get her back on. Yes, Kisha. Yeah, unfortunately, we were. Anyways, guys, just a technical issue with Kisha Reynolds. We'll hopefully we'll have her back on. She was just giving us some tips on getting a good night's sleep, because a lot of us are sleep deprived nowadays, including myself. So hopefully we can get Kisha Reynolds back on. And I think she just popped on. So fingers crossed we can get her audio back working. One second, Kisha.
Okay.
You're back. Okay, I
I'm
can hear
back.
you now.
Great.
Technology, when it
I
works,
know
is
you
great.
gotta love it, right?
Yeah, so you got to learn to think on your feet too. You were just mentioning us some good tips for getting some a better night's sleep as well.
Right, right. So I believe I ended with getting yourself in a routine of getting up around the same time, going to bed around the same time, so, kind of getting your body into that rhythm. I think I covered, I think prior to, I think that was before I went out, I mentioned about, not eating late, so those are some tips that I would give. And of course, if anything, you need any help outside of that, there's always hypnotherapy and I'm always available.
What are your thoughts on sleeping pills? Because back in the 70s and 80s, people who had trouble sleeping, doctors would prescribe them on sleeping pills too.
I think there's a time and a place, for everything. I myself am not a huge fan of sleeping pills. Okay. I'm not going to tell you that I've never had a sleeping pill in my life, because I haven't in certain instances, perhaps they, do the trick. Okay. I think what I'm more afraid of are the prescription ones, I think those are one of the ones I think I'm more afraid of. I'm not necessarily really too afraid of like the Unisoms of the world, or something like that, because that's something that usually people take once in a while that I'm aware of. I can tell you that I've even, taken a Unisom before, myself. It's not that often, but I have. So it's not that I'm inherently like against it, but I just know that there are other tools that are out there, and I always say to try to use those tools first before you kind of go the medication route. But that said, if it is something that is needed, then go see your physician.
What are your thoughts on sleep apnea? And do you find more and more people are now diagnosed with sleep apnea? And obviously, snoring is probably one of the signs of sleep apnea.
Well, yeah, definitely. I was, never actually diagnosed with it, but I thought that I probably had it about, I would say about 2 years ago. I did snore. I was one that did snore, admittedly, but what happened with me is I, kind of got really intentional on just, being a healthier me. And I dropped a significant amount of weight. And for me, when that went away, the snoring went away as well. So, my thoughts on it is to go see a sleep professional, your specialist. Okay. Get diagnosed with it. Okay. Get the help that you need. They have things to help you with the snoring. All right. And some of them are less invasive than what you may think, so it's important. I do think that, there's probably, I can't say if it's more of an uptick now than what it was before. Okay. But I do know that in terms of the rate of obesity, that continues to grow. I do know that. And, along with that, type 2 diabetes, as well. So, and when you do are, when you are, at a certain weight, that snoring does happen, the sleep apnea does happen. But then again, you don't, but okay, you also have to look at in conjunctive. Okay, so what's considered big or what's considered overweight? Because I also know someone, who wasn't that large to me. Okay, but maybe because of her height or whatever, maybe it was considered overweight for her. But out, whatever it was, she has sleep apnea. Okay, but does not necessarily deal with that now, because she did go to a sleep study and she did do the things that she was supposed to do, and also lost weight as well, so that also played a big part in that, kind of rectifying that. But I don't know necessarily, I haven't done a study, okay, on in terms of is more on the rise now than before. I can speak to, I do believe that obesity is more on the rise now than before. And when you have certain, in terms of like obesity, there are other things that kind of come along with that, okay, which could possibly be sleep apnea.
By the way, as I get older, I'm putting on more weight and I'm losing height. So I'm trying to fix that. And I find even if you can't get an hour walking in because of the winter weather, even if you can get 20 minutes before you go to bed, I find even the 20-minute walk helps too.
Something is better than nothing. Now, again, I say this as someone who probably needs to get on, let me, and I'll just say this. I literally have one of those Peloton bikes, okay, but it was the one from Bowflex. It wasn't the Peloton, it's the other one you kind of hit a button and it goes off road and all that type stuff. Now, I purchased this thing 2 years ago. Ask me how many times I've been on it, Chris. One. So
And
again, I'm
one.
not saying, so I'm not saying this that that I'm putting it out there like, okay, I do this all the time. I'm right in there with the trenches with your brother. Like I need to do the same thing, but I do know what I am supposed to do, and sometimes I do. One of my favorite things to do here in Philadelphia, we have this one place called Kelly Drive, and it's beautiful to go like during the spring and summer and the fall, because it's an inspiration because you see people out, everybody's running, everybody's walking fast, the dog goes around, I love it. Everybody's got their earplugs in, and I like to go and, I like to walk there. I find myself enjoying walking there. So during the springtime, at times I do go and I do that. And I love to swim. So that's another thing. So, I will go. I'm a member of my local Y, I will go and do some laps. I enjoy it.
One thing this winter, I haven't been able to walk as much because of the
Right.
conditions here, but I've been doing snow shoveling 2, 3 times a day. Plus, I do a couple elderly neighbors, so I have been getting my cardio in from snow shoveling. But the only thing is, even my doctor told me this: you have to pace yourself.
Yeah.
Even if you're skinny or fit, if you
Yeah.
overdo it, you can end up having a heart attack from over
Oh,
shoveling.
absolutely. So be careful, and that's with anybody that's doing, the snowing, the shoveling, I become somewhat of a hermit during the winter. Like I don't go out. I order in, Instacart is my friend. I mean, it's like a whole hermit thing situation going on over here, Chris. But, we'll get better as the days get longer and the weather gets warmer. I like to think we'll get better.
Keisha, are you still good for a few more minutes, couple more questions?
Absolutely. Talk on and ask away.
Okay. How did you end up starting up your own business, and what were some of your challenges of starting up 321 Deep Sleep?
I think probably, and the marketing, to be honest with you, the doing it and starting it wasn't the issue. For me, it was the marketing because believe it or not, I'm not much of a poster. Like I'm not really on social media that much, and like I'll post pictures now and then, but I'm not a big poster. So, and I'm not a big, that's why I started doing the podcast, believe it or not, to drag me and to get me to be able to get out and share what I do. That's why I'm doing this, because just naturally, I call myself one of the most introverted, extroverted people I know. Seriously, like as extroverted as I am and like, outgoing, I can become very like want to stay in and love my space and and that whole thing as well, maybe a little bit to fault, I don't know, but that has, I would say, probably like the marketing piece of it for me because I'm not really kind of the one to just do that. I'm getting better. I'm getting better at it. But it has been somewhat of a struggle for me, initially because I wasn't out like that. So for me, it was kind of relying on or kind of going to different businesses that they will kind of like a done for you, like they kind of move things into place, okay, and kind of do it for you. And then I mean, obviously you have to have a buy-in to that as well, but that helps, me, especially because this is not something that I naturally, gravitate to. Now, once I'm on the podcast, I absolutely enjoy it because it's talking, and I enjoy talking, but getting me to do it, on my own, that's been a bit of a struggle, but we're working through that. We're working through that.
Any plans for a book in the future, and maybe perhaps get a co-host for your own podcast show once in a while?
Yes, it's so glad you mentioned that. So I do have a book that is coming out. I'm going to refrain from saying when, just because I said it one time before and it got pushed back. So I am just going to say that it will be out before May. I will say that. Okay. I'm very
Congratulations.
comfortable. Thank you. I'm very comfortable in saying that. Actually, podcast in about 6 8 weeks, I'm gonna coming out with Pull Up and Pour, which is the name of it. And basically, the whole premise of it is that it is an open forum where you do that, just pull up and pour your own poison. Versus, well, it's you don't drink, and club soda is your poison. So your mocktail, you like your wine, you like your whiskey, whatever. Pull up and pour. Let's chat it out. Let's talk about it. And it's a place where we're going to be talking about a lot of different things, all things mental health. Different things that there are different struggles that we as people deal with, pulling the wool and opening things up, kind of clearing out the whole secrecy thing and just really kind of getting into it. So look for that, for Pull Up and Pour. So I definitely would love for you to be able to, come on as a guest with that.
Absolutely.
Once it's up and running. And actually, I will probably want to pick your brain in terms of, platforms and things like that, because this is very new to me, so I could definitely use some advice on it. But yeah, funny that you mentioned that. Yes.
By the way, when your book comes out, I wouldn't mind a signed copy too.
Oh, I will. Hey, you got it. You got it. It's there.
What are your I think we lost you again, Kisha. Okay, Kisha just disappeared. We're just wrapping up our show with Kisha Reynolds, who is a certified clinical hypnotherapist, and she's also a career coach out of Philadelphia. I'm hoping we can get Kisha back on to talk a little bit more about her coaching career as well. So um, we're just talking about her new podcast show, and she's got a book coming out as well, and she's back. So just 1 second.
I'm
You're back.
back. Yep.
Okay.
Sorry.
No worries about it. I wanted to get your thoughts on everything now is digital. What are your thoughts on the shrinking paper stuff, like books and newspapers?
I kind of like it. I mean, but I still have my books. I still
Yeah.
have my books. I got my books right here. I got my Bible, so I got my books. I still believe in the books, but but I have to say I'm a big Audible girl too. I am a big Audible girl. I like the convenience of it, but I've always liked convenience.
I'm gonna put you on the spot here, Kisha. What are 3 words to describe yourself? 3 words.
Bold, okay, I would say bold, compassionate, and loyal. Loyal.
Can you can you also tell us a little about being a career coach, and do you find the economy, the workforce is shrinking, and maybe thoughts on AI too?
I mean, I as a career coach now, when it comes as to a career coach, I look at career coach in a sense of blending hypnosis with that, okay? Because a lot of times when we come from other businesses or come from another job, you have another mindset, or maybe you had a mindset where it was a toxic work environment or whatever it was, but that follows you. It doesn't just go away, so you kind of carry that with you. And 9 times out of 10, majority of the reason why people leave their job is not so much as the pay or anything. It's because of their manager. Okay,
Yep.
it's the management. Okay, that's the reason why people leave, is, because if you have a good manager and someone who really pours into you, you'll stay. You'll make the pay work. Okay. You'll even stretch and kind of make the benefits work, at least for a while anyway. Okay. But people leave because of people. Okay. It's not because of anything else. So when you leave that environment, you're still carrying all of that toxicity that is in you from working with that person. Okay. It's almost like you leave there and you leave with your own trauma. You leave with your own trauma. Okay. So in doing that, I help them with being able to move past that. I help them being able to move past their trauma, clearing that out the way. So now when you go to an employer, you go healed. Okay. You're not taking baggage. Okay. And then also being able to help you when it comes to just getting your mind right. Okay. Perhaps you want to go to that next level. You've been working in your career for 15 years, and there's this director level that you want to get to, but you're carrying a bit of imposter syndrome. You're feeling like you can't do it. So rewiring the brain and boosting you with that confidence that shows you can do that. In fact, that's what I do with one of my programs called Edge. It's specifically for that.
Do you work with a lot of clients that come into seeing you playing small?
Yes. A lot of that also is yes, who feel that, but again, a lot of that also ties into sometimes the perfectionism. Okay, comparing sometimes to other people. So I work with not only that, but also extending that to validating self-validation. Okay, validating yourself, not needing to compare yourself to anyone else. And I'm also I'm spiritual, very faith-based. So I am a believer. So for me, God made you just the way you are, and He loves you the way you are. So for me, it's also kind of like getting you to see that. And I utilize hypnotherapy to be able to do that.
Now, most of your sessions, are they virtually or in person?
Oh, they're all virtual. They're all virtual. If someone wants to do something local, I'm here in Philadelphia, then, I will be able to, set something up. But majority of the people really want to be remote. And also too, I second that, just because when you are doing this, when it's done, you're usually pretty tired. You're sleepy. Hypnosis makes you feel kind of groggy, almost very similar to that sleep awake type feel. So when it's over, majority of people, they do want to go take a nap. So I don't want to see you getting on the road to go home, okay, and driving home, and we've just come out of a 50-minute session and you're kind of like still, even though I've kind of, counted you out of hypnosis, you're still feeling a little loopy. I don't want to see that. So I even prefer for the client to be home and comfortable.
What's an average session like?
The average session, the first session is the longest, and that is because I do a couple of tests. I do something called a suggestibility test, which is really more for me than the client. It's more so for me to be able to see, kind of your left brain, how your right brain, how you take in instruction. Also, I do a suggestibility questionnaire, which is comprised of 36 questions. And when you answer them using nonverbal cues. So you're not doing yes or no. If I ask you something that you agree with, you say yes by shaking your head. So if you don't, no, by shaking your head, no. And what that does is at the end, it tells me your suggestibility type. So, and depending upon your suggestibility type depends on the induction that I'm going to use to put you under. So what that means is you have three different types of suggestibility types. You have an emo, which is short for emotional, a phys, which is short for physical, and then you have a somnambulist. Okay, so an emo is somebody who is more of an introverted side. Maybe kind of kind of reserved. Maybe don't wear their heart completely on sleeve. Okay, kind of have to maybe warm up the things first before they kind of are a little bit more outgoing with you. So that's what we call somebody who is an emo or an emotional. Then you have a fizz, or short for physical. That's someone who sometimes can be considered life of the party. Okay, somebody who is, not this is the person who's not afraid to get up and speak publicly. Okay, they're not afraid to, carry on a conversation and, you know, kind of and be not afraid to be vulnerable. Okay, that's more somebody who's a little bit more of on a physical kind of maybe wear their heart a little bit more on their sleeve. Okay, and then you have a somnambulist who's really 50-50, right in between the two. Okay, so what happens is by the time I do this questionnaire, we talk about what hypnotherapy is. We go into why you're here, what type of session you want, because like I said, I am faith-based. So when I do my sessions, I do base my sessions on scripture and then do prayer around that in terms of being able to help with what you are looking to help with. But not everybody wants that, so it depends, kind of what type of session that you're here for. So, but the first session is 90 minutes, okay? And then after that, it's a 50-minute session each time.
How satisfying is it to assist your clients overcoming addictions, compulsion, anxiety, and rebuilding confidence?
Oh, it's very rewarding. It's very rewarding. But again, as as much as I enjoy it, I'm very, very happy for them, because when they come, I can see the progress. I can see where they were when they came and where they are when they've left. Okay. And honestly, I do. I view myself more so as a vessel. I don't come into this, by myself. It may be my voice, but like I said, I am a believer. So I do believe that I get my scripture and I get this from God. Okay, this gift was God from God. This is a God-given gift in terms of my voice and all of that. So I feel that I am, pretty much I'm the vessel that this is coming through. Okay, so when I see this work being done, I am happy about it for the client. But I also know, and from my perspective, what I believe, I believe in terms of where it came from. So I always give the glory to God.
Now, for those people that are watching the show live stream or on audio and they're interested in your services, how can they contact you?
I can be contacted by my email. That is Kisha, Kisha, at 321deepsleep.com. Or you can just go to my website, okay, which is www.321deepsleep.com, or at 321 Deep Sleep. I'm all in terms of with on Instagram and on Facebook as well. So and kind of put me a message there. But I would say the best way is, email Keisha at 321deepsleep.com, or go to the email, go to my website, and then just click on the contact button.
Keisha, how did you come up about your own recruiting firm called Mind Hire Collective?
Well, I started Mind Hired Collective because I wanted to see candidates healed. Okay, so I wanted to do this differently. It is still the traditional recruiting firm in terms of working with clients and matching clients with different, job orders or different, roles that come in from various clients. But it's also more than that. I don't want to just kind of just shove someone into a role. I want to make sure that you're really ready for it. Okay. So that goes, also to, okay, helping you in terms of with interviewing. Okay. And it is a different world out there now. Before, interviewing was one thing, but now we have AI. Okay. So it's also, it can be hard to sit in front of a screen and you don't see anything, but you have AI really kind of asking you these questions, because some people, the way you answer, you utilize kind of a give and take. Okay, you talk to a person, okay, that you can see the person's facial expression. You can have a good dialogue. Okay, maybe you have something in common, with that hiring manager, said hiring manager that you are meeting with. Okay, AI kind of removes that to a certain extent, or at least the first part of it. I don't AI doesn't do the whole recruitment process, probably like the first of the screening and all that. And if you get past it, then then they move on. But there's a different mindset with that. You have to be prepared to be able to sit in front of a camera and answer questions. Okay, and then you don't know many times what those buzzwords are going to be, because it's an algorithm, right? So certain things that you say, they're taking that and then that scores it, and it's like, okay, then we're going to pass that on. And sometimes, as good as you are a candidate, if you don't, I believe, you don't say those quote buzzwords that are in that algorithm, you're kind of out. So I always say, beat AI at its own game. You have Chat GPT, and there's so many of them out there. You can even ask, okay, I'm going in for this type of role. Give me a sample, different, questions that I might be able to spec that I expect to hear. Okay. So that's also a way of being able to prepare, you
Do
know.
you do you find AI is going to reduce the workforce going forward?
It's certain
A
things I
reduction.
do. Certain things I do. I think with certain things that you won't, I don't think they will be able to, okay? Because there's still a need for real people, okay? But I mean, we're already seeing it now when it comes to manufacturing, okay? They're being able to lay off, employees because they can hire, a robot or a machinery that can do and cost less, okay, from a labor perspective, a cost a procurement perspective, be able to pay less than paying, say, 15 to 20 employees. So you're already beginning to see that, which is why I've always have said, make sure that you go, get yourself a certification in something else that that you can use, okay, and take advantage of blue collar like certifications, like plumbing, okay, electrician work,
Trade,
okay.
trade.
Yeah, definitely. I've always been one that has been a proponent for that. Not that, I'm not saying don't, do other things, but, listen, you're always going to need plumbers.
Yep.
You are, okay?
Electricians.
You're always going to need an electrician, okay? You're always going to need that person to come out to the house. Okay, I really firmly believe that. Now, unless, I mean, obviously, in terms of doing, you have a lot of smart homes now, so I don't know, maybe you won't, okay? But as of right now, you still need that person to kind of come and, kind of use that snake and, unclog that drain. So, getting certified in those type of roles.
If you do decide to come back on our show again for a second time, I would like to talk to you a little bit more about the job market and interviewing, and also some terms like ghosting. Everyone thinks ghosting is just dating, but it
Oh
it
God,
happens it
yes.
happens in the job interviews, where these
Yes.
companies, they don't have to give you a reason why you didn't get the job, but at least send an email or some kind of acknowledgement for applying to the jobs. Because a lot of them nowadays, if they don't offer you the job, they basically have nothing to do with you. They ghost you.
They do. And it's rude as I don't know what. But here's the thing, Chris. Unfortunately, there isn't anything that you can do about it. They're going to do what they're going to do. I mean, it's rude. It's rude. I mean, in the dating world, ghosting is a sign of immaturity.
Yeah.
Okay, definitely. But and again, it also goes to where we are in in this world now, where okay, it's almost kind of like, what can you do for me? What can you do for me? You can't do anything, then it's like, now you're out. You're not, you're not useful anymore. And that's so, terrible, to be able to do that to people. But that's where, you have to know on the inside of yourself that you are enough, okay? And also understand that, many times recruiters have over sometimes 100 job applicants, okay, or candidates that they have to go through. And I say that not to take their side, but I'm also saying in terms of, because I have been one, am one, because I still do recruiting in terms with Mind Hire Collective as well. So when you get resumes, they flood your inbox, and I mean, you can have, for one role, you can have 150, 200, 300 resumes. That's a
Good point.
lot with one recruiter to look at that. Okay.
N-
So you may not have time, you may want to, but you can at least send a letter. You can at least, I mean, it can be set up automatic where, okay, if
Yep.
this doesn't happen, okay, so sorry. We had a lot of, I mean, I mean,
Yep.
yeah, we've had a lot of resumes, we weren't selected this time, but please continue to try and look on our website. Like, you can do that. I mean, literally, like, they're automatics. I mean, you just, it's a template, you just click a button, it sends. That
But
part I don't understand, but you are right. The ghosting is, it's rude.
and the companies don't like it when they offer somebody a job and then they just disappear. So to me, the company's got to remember, you offer somebody a job and they ghost you. Well, that's no different than you doing to a candidate. So
Yeah, yeah, that's
it's
true too.
unacceptable from both sides. And
Yeah,
if
it
you
is.
and if you're offered a job and for whatever reason you decide it's not a good fit, I've done it before where I've let them know, listen, I appreciate the offer, but I just don't feel this is like a good fit. They might not have been happy with me, but it was the right thing to do.
Right.
At least tell them why I'm not accepting it. Just make at least let them know instead of just disappearing.
And here's the thing, because, and I think we've probably heard this before, but I'm still going to say it, when you're dealing with the human element, people always remember how you make them feel, right? So
Yep.
you never know when or how your path might cross that person again. Like, you just don't know. And people are going to remember how you made them feel. Oh, wow, he didn't even have the decency to even bother to let me know that he took the job. He just didn't even just stop returning
Yep.
phone calls, stop returning emails. That's not what you do, and I believe in treating people how you want to be treated, but not everybody was taught that, unfortunately, all, and sometimes.
Now, do you work with or deal with cover letters and resumes too with your recruiting firm?
I will say that I prefer to do just kind of like the interview coaching. Okay. I
Okay.
will give tips on resumes in terms of what you should do. At this point, I don't, I don't, it's not that I don't find it beneficial. It's just that with AI tools and things of that sort, you can literally have it rewire your entire resume, okay, for you, like just like that. Okay. I literally kind of looked at Indeed one time, and it asked, okay, but, just to kind of check it out and see what's going on, that it just literally asked, would you like me to format your resume to this job? So, it's kind of like, I don't, do that anymore, but I will, do and give, tips on in terms of interviewing and things of that sort. And if you want, help with in terms of like getting over this imposter syndrome and just needing that, boost of confidence, switching, rewiring your mindset to go further. Also, switching that mindset to know that you deserve more, you deserve that raise, okay, helping you to be able to go in and ask for that raise. And then on top of that, with rewiring that, also telling you things that you point out about what you're doing that substantiate why you deserve that raise. So I speak to that.
As we wrap up the show, Kisha, what are some fun facts or a fun fact about yourself in the city of Philadelphia?
Okay, well, Philly has great food. I mean, everybody always talks about, home of the cheesesteaks, and
Yep.
yeah, we cheesesteaks, but Philadelphia is so much more than that. Philadelphia has a very vibrant, art scene. Performing arts, the food here is amazing. So, come here and experience, some of that as well. More than the cheesesteaks, not taken away from the cheesesteaks, but I'm just saying we do have more to offer here in Philadelphia.
I've been to Philly twice in my life, 1984 as a kid, and then I was there in 2014, and I was able to run the Rocky Stairs.
Oh,
Those stairs are narrow, so I managed to do it without falling on my face. But I was huffing and puffing, but it was a lot of fun too.
yes. Well, the next time you come back here to the city of brotherly love and sisterly affection, you got to let me know. I'd be happy to be able to kind of show you around.
Are you an Eagles fan too?
I will say that I am Eagles by default because I live here. Not that I don't like the Eagles, I do. It's just that I'm not much of a organized sports,
Sports fan.
person,
Yeah.
but I do love a good Super Bowl now, so I will go and
Oh,
I will participate.
speaking of Super Bowl 60, who do you have, New England or Seattle?
I don't know. I'm not a huge so you know what? I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I never actually haven't actually thought about it, but I guess maybe let's see. What is it? Seattle is the Patriots, right? Or is
Yeah,
that who?
I'm New England, and I'm so sick of New England, so I'm rooting for Seattle.
I was going to say New England, but it was mainly because it's on the East Coast, New England. You know what I mean? I'm not much. I guess I'm not much of
Yeah.
a organized, kind of like sports person. But you know what? I wish them both well. I know somebody's got to win, but just play hard, stay safe, and let's come back and do it again next year.
As we wrap this show up, it's a new segment I do on my show. It's called Ask the Host CDP a Question. Do you have a question for me before we wrap this up?
I do. I do. I do. So my question for you is, if you could not do this, what else would you want to do and why?
This is something I want to do. I was in corporate security for almost 25 years, and at the end, it became a work divorce for both sides. And
Mm-hmm.
I was grateful for my time there, and it really did help me with my public speaking, listening skills, confidence. But this media is what I really love doing. And by the way, I'm wearing a hat. Okay, it's a Detroit Red Wings hat, but I literally wear 9 or 10 different hats. So I love doing the talk show hosting, but I'm also a producer, content creator. I edit video. I market myself on social media. So I write game night stories for professional sports teams. So I really love doing media, and I'm trying to learn as much as I can, because any career, the more things you can do, the more valuable you are. It doesn't mean you're going to be the best at 9 or 10 things, but the more you can do is valuable. And I've done camera work. I've done some audio. So I've done behind the scenes of TV as well. But the media is something I really have a passion for. And I think because of my ability to connect with people, my empathy, and also my listening skills, I think listening skills are just as important as talking, maybe even more important in most cases.
Okay, okay. Well, before we go, I just kind of want to give a quick shout out because we talked about, very quickly, we talked about bullying, and one of the organizations that I work with that I did not get a chance to acknowledge on here was 50 Shades of Purple Against Bullying, an organization that I work with, and every year they do so much, in the community here in Philadelphia. They're based out of Philadelphia, and it was founded by Katie Sattler. We call her Jazz, and she's done a lot with helping people. They have something called Back to School, Not Cruel, all throughout the year. With being able to help people in marginalized communities be able to give them backpacks and things of that sort. So when they do go back to school, they go back with, they have some new things, and have some crayons and pencils and supplies that they need, because many times that's, tough, going back, and other kids have, nice new things and you don't have those things, and then you become targeted for bullying and all that stuff. So I just kind of wanted to give that shout out just because when we were talking about it, I did not get a chance to, kind of mention it. And it was something that that I thought about. So I just wanted to kind of throw that out there.
And I think the next time we have you on, I'd like to talk to you a little more about bullying, because people always
Yeah,
have this perception of bullying being in school and kids, which I experience, but adults and management bully just as much, if
all the
not more,
time.
different types of forms of bullying and
Yeah,
also belittling too. I'd like to talk to you more
yeah.
about.
Yeah, the passive aggressive is real. It's like, what are you doing? You're like, yeah, you absolutely. Absolutely. I would love to. And I can't wait to come on. Just let me know. Let me know the
Okay.
time and the date. Love to come back.
I actually have 3 talk shows in total. This is my main one. I have a Canadian Football League one for the Toronto Argonauts when they're playing, once a week with a younger co-host, and then I have a 3rd show, which is once a month. It's an entertainment talk show with my co-host, Marlene Sharp, and myself. It's called the Small Talk Podcast, and
Okay.
I think you'd make a great guest on there too. Marlene is out in Los Angeles and works in the animation cartoon industry, so we get
Oh,
different guests on from that industry as well. So what I'm most proud about is this show is not just sports talk. It's very diverse with topics and guests and good storytelling.
yeah. Yeah, I agree. Like I said, just let me know. I'd be
Yeah.
welcome, happy to come back on this one or small talk. I've had a great time talking to you and your listeners.
It's the guests that make a great show. And by the way, as we wrap this up, where can our audience follow you on social media, your website, and the best way of contacting you?
Contact is my email, which is Kisha, Kisha at 321deepsleep.com. If you're interested in terms of Mind Higher Collective, I am at Kisha, Kisha at mindhighercollective.com. I, you know what? It's a new email address, so I don't want to misspoke, but I think it's Keisha at mindhighercollective.com. And then also via Instagram, okay, at 321 Deep Sleep,
Which
as
I
well
followed.
as, yes, which you follow, yes. And I'm also on Facebook as well, 321 Deep Sleep as well on Facebook. Well, I'm not on Twitter or anything like that, but I am on Instagram and I am on Facebook. And then obviously, my email.
Any plans for a YouTube channel at some point?
Yeah, we will working to get there. I mean, that's part of, kind of with the pull up and pour, with the podcast, and putting that might be it. We're putting some of my own videos, but again, this is kind of bringing me out of my shell and making me, do content and actually putting it up there on my channel because I literally have the channel, I just don't have the content. So it's kind of like making me getting me out of my shell and saying, okay, do this. So you know what? This could be a really good relationship, Chris, because you're in media. Okay. I need someone to be like, listen, do it. Like no other excuses. Just do it.
And
Yeah. Need that
I've had
push.
and I've had people pay it forward to me when I first started, so I try to do the same thing as well, and I'm still a work in progress, and I'm still learning and keep improving, and also never get whatever career you're in, never get complacent. If you start
You're
getting
right.
complacent, then it's time to move to another career as well.
I 100% do that. I've been doing that. I completely agree. Completely agree.
And it's the guests that make a great talk show. I'm very fortunate that I've done over 750 episodes, and the
Wow.
guests, I reach out to people, and 90% of the time they come on. And you know what? Sometimes I'm not everybody's cup of tea too. So you got to realize that in media too. You're not always going to be everyone's cup of tea, but you can't take it personally. Just
Right.
focus on getting better, improving, learning, and the guests that do come on your show.
Great advice and advice well taken, and I will take all of it.
And I am going to try to go for a 20-minute walk before I go to bed tonight, because I do find even 20 minutes of walking does help before I go to bed and sleep.
Oh, I wish I was so good like you because when this is over, I am not. I'm going to go sit my behind down somewhere. I'm so sorry.
And if you can give me a little bit of time tonight, I will send you the full video, the audio, and some reels and clips as well. I think we lost our guest as we wrap up this show, but I want to say thank you to Kisha Reynolds, who's a certified clinical hypnotic therapist, and she's also a career coach out of Philadelphia for coming on. So, oh, she just popped on as we wrap
Sorry.
it up. No, it's okay. I think technology's telling us it's time to wrap it up.
No, yeah, yeah, and also too, I think what it is, I have a Bible study that I do, and around 8 o'clock, and I think they automatically kind of like let everybody know on the whole, it's like
Yeah,
a list, and I think when they call in, it disrupts. I think that's
yeah.
also what's going on. Yeah, so I'm so
No,
sorry about that.
no worries. And I want to say thank you for giving us over 90 minutes of your time tonight, and
Yes,
continue success. And congratulations on the book. I need a
thank
signed
you.
copy of it, and your podcast. Please let us know when your first podcast show will be available, and I will be happy to promote it on my social media pages as well.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, Chris. Thank you. And I've enjoyed being here. I've had a great time, with you and in communicating with your listeners. And I so much can't wait to come back and do it again. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Kisha, and we'll talk to you soon.
Okay. All right. Bye-bye.
Have a good night. Thank you.
Okay. Good night. Bye-bye.
All right, everybody, that wraps up season 12, episode 52, overall 657 of Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show, hosted by Chris Pame and brought to you by our friends at Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership, located at 905 Woodlawn Road West in the Guelph Auto Mall. Check out their website, barrycullen.com. As we wrap this show up, guys, since we did talk a little bit about sleeping tonight with our guest, Kisha Reynolds, I have a little video clip here today. It's from the Sleep Doctor. It's from the Sleep Doctor on YouTube, and it's 5 tips for better sleep. So I thought I'd play this little clip here too as we wrap this up.
Dr. Michael Bruce, the sleep doctor here. A lot of people want to know what's the one thing that I need to do to get a better night's sleep. Well, in my book, there's 5. So let's go through them right now. Step number 1 is to wake up at the same time every single day, including the weekends. I want you to notice I didn't say go to bed at the same time. I said wake up at the same time. The reason is when you wake up in the morning and sunlight hits your eye, sends a signal to your brain to turn off the melatonin faucet in your head, but it sets a timer for 14 hours later, so that way melatonin can start again. So if you have a variable wake up time, that means it's going to be very difficult for you to go to bed. But if you have a smooth wake up time, it should be much easier to fall asleep. So step number 1, wake up time. Step number 2 is stop caffeine by 2 p.m. A lot of people don't know this, but caffeine has a half-life of between 6 and 8 hours, depending upon how fast of a metabolizer you are. So if you stop at 2, 8 hours later is 10, which is roughly when many people are thinking about heading to bed. Now, remember, if you can, back it up to 12, even back it up to 10 in the morning, if you can possibly do so. But step number 2 is to stop caffeine by 2 p.m. Step number 3 has to do with alcohol. Let's be fair. There's a really big difference between going to bed and passing out. We don't like the passing out, but we do like the going to bed. Many people don't realize this, but alcohol, while it makes you feel sleepy, and it turns out it's the number 1 sleep aid in the world, it's terrible for sleep quality. It takes the average human approximately 1 hour to digest 1 alcoholic beverage. So step number 3 is to stop alcohol 3 hours before bed and limit yourself to 2 drinks. By limiting yourself to 2 drinks, you don't get too tipsy, which would cause cortisol to rise, and then you've got energy while you're drunk. Probably not the best for sleeping. That way, you also add water in between each one of your alcoholic beverages, helps fill up your gut, and prevents you from drinking too much. Step number 4 has to do with exercise. I love it when people exercise, and I want people to do it every day, but you don't want to do it too close to bedtime. So step number 4 is to exercise daily, but to stop 4 hours before bed. Now, step number 5, since we've been talking a lot about nighttime, has to do with your morning. So I have 3 different things I ask you to do. I call them the 315s. So the first thing you do when you wake up is swing your legs over the edge of the bed, sit there and take 15 deep breaths. This helps bring you present, allows you to get more alert and function for the day. Step number 2 in the morning routine is to take 15 ounces of water, and slug it. Most people don't know, but sleep in and of itself is a dehydrative event. So hydrating before you caffeinate turns out to be a really important factor. And then the third thing I want you to do is go outside if it's not too cold and get 15 minutes of sunshine. 15 minutes of sunlight will trigger your brain to stop producing melatonin, and 15 minutes is just the right amount of time for your body to produce vitamin D. So once again, in summary, step number 1, stick to 1 wake-up time. Step number 2, stop caffeine by 2 p.m. Step number 3, stop alcohol 3 hours before bed. Step number 4, exercise daily, but stop exercise 4 hours before bed. And step number 5 is when you wake up in the morning, do the 3 15s, which is 15 deep breaths, 15 ounces of water, and 15 minutes of sunshine. This is Dr. Michael, the Sleep Doctor, wishing you sweet dreams.
That clip was courtesy of the Sleep Doctor on YouTube. And again, I want to say thank you to my special guest tonight, Kisha Reynolds, who's a certified clinical sleep hypnotherapist. And she's also a career coach out of Philadelphia, for coming on our show. So thank you to Kisha Reynolds. And thank you to everyone for commenting on here tonight as well. And I've got some more comments here. Tiffany Walker, thank you for watching. AI is a huge tool now with HR, recruiters, talent management, utilizing more of the front end to eliminate some of the ghosting. And Alex Barnett, Kisha Reynolds is the best hypnotherapist in the country. This I can speak on. Well, Tiffany and Alex and everybody who's commented here tonight, thank you so much. Who else? Astro, I think, came on here. So yeah, it was great to have Kisha Reynolds on here, and I am open to willing to try this as well. So thank you, Alex and Tiffany, for your comments and for watching and stuff like that. So thank you, everyone, for watching this show on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, X, and Instagram. I am working to get this show on TikTok as well, and I appreciate all the comments and feedback here as well. And as we wrap up this show, everybody, one second, guys. My next live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show is going to be tomorrow night, Thursday, February 5th, 11 p.m. Eastern. That's right, 11 p.m. Eastern. Late night with live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show. And my special guest is Kaylee Jane. She is an author. Kaylee Jane. She's an author, a writer, and content creator as well. So Kaylee Jane will be on tomorrow night. And then on Friday, February 6th, again at 11 p.m., another late night edition. I have Joyce Chua, and she is a women's confidence mindset coach on from the country of Malaysia as well. So my next 2 shows, tomorrow night, Thursday, February 5th at 11 p.m., and then Friday, February 6th at 11 p.m. as well. So I want to say thank you to Kisha Reynolds again for coming on here tonight, a certified clinical hypnotherapist. And thank you to everyone watching this show and listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Good Pods, and wherever podcasts are available. As we wrap up the show, guys, tonight, the Red Wings take on Utah tonight at 9 o'clock, and then the Red Wings are off for 3 weeks due to the Olympic break. The Olympics start this Friday in Italy, and some news today from the Detroit Tigers. Detroit Tigers legend and 1968 World Series champion pitcher Mickey Lolich passed away today at the age of 85. He was a huge part of that 68 Detroit Tigers team. So Mickey Lolich passed away at the age of 85. And the Detroit Pistons, coming off a big win last night against Denver, made a trade and traded Jaden Ivey to the Chicago Bulls as well. I'm sad as a fan to see Ivy go, but it's a business, and obviously they want to have the money to resign Jaden Durant, who's an all-star as well. So the Detroit Pistons, 37-12. I can't really question them. And hopefully Ivy does well in Chicago, just not against Detroit as well. That is about it for tonight's show. Again, thank you to Kisha Reynolds for coming on. And thank you to my sponsor, Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership. And again, if you're looking for winter tires right now, check out the service department at Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership. Greg, Lisa, and Sarah can look after your needs. And also, too, with the cold winter here, the temperatures can affect your battery. They are doing a free 12-volt battery check right now. And if you happen to need a new battery, you can receive a new $20 instant rebate from Barry Cullen Chevrolet dealership. So more details at barrycullen.com or pop by the dealership at 905 Woodlawn Road West in the Guelph Auto Mall. I hope everybody has a great night. And again, thank you everyone for watching and listening to Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show, hosted by yours truly, Chris Pame, and brought to you by our friends at Barry Cullen Chevrolet dealership here in Guelph. We will see you back here tomorrow night at 11 p.m. Eastern with Kaylee Jane, an author, writer, and content creator as well. Good night, everybody.